Take me back to the end of the 2013 season. You're in the middle of that career, and you're a star on special teams, a leader in that locker room. What did you start to notice at the end of that year?
So it was the end of the 2012 season, actually.
Okay.
And it was a situation where I was playing at a very high level, and actually those last 6 games of that year, I played more defense than I've ever played in my NFL career. I was playing well. I remember the linebacker coach telling me, "Tim, you played so well, we didn't miss the starter." And that was a high compliment to me at the time as a career special teams guy to know that, hey, I have what it takes to play defense in this league. But at the same time, my body was fighting me on a lot of things. In the weight room, noticeably at first, my right side just wasn't firing when I do certain things, and it was a process of realizing that things that I had been able to do as an athlete my entire life, I was no longer able to do, but the way I was still playing football and the way I was still functioning as a human, no serious thoughts, I think, were in anyone's mind at that point. I finally got to the point where it was affecting my performance in a negative way. That was the preseason of 2013. I remember distinctly missing a tackle that I never would have missed in my life against the Falcons. Jackson was running the ball. He came through on a power play. I came over the top, perfectly read it, hit him with my right side, and just my kind of right arm just fell right off him. He busted through for a big run. I just remember trying to punch with this hand, trying to do certain things. I was running down in a drill, and I tripped and fell on literally nothing, and just thinking and knowing myself that something is wrong. So ultimately the Titans cut me due to my performance, and I believe something was wrong, and they believed something was wrong, but we didn't know what, and neither I nor them thought it was anything so serious. But now I wasn't done with football in my mind. I wanted to keep playing, so I went to a neurologist at that time, St. Thomas Hospital, and he did a couple more MRIs and still couldn't find anything. Did this thing called a nerve conduction study, and he couldn't find anything seriously wrong. He said, hey, nerves take time to heal, maybe give it some more time and give it some more rest, and let me know how you feeling a little bit. And it was a few months later, I said, hey, I'm getting worse. I know I'm getting worse. I can feel myself getting weaker. And so I called that same doctor back. He did another test, and then he said, Tim, I don't know. I need to send you to someone else who's a specialist. And that's where I got linked up with Dr. D'Onofrio over at Vanderbilt. Kind of said, hey, Tim, I'm very concerned. Gave me this very serious, I'm concerned, but I'm not sure lecture that I brushed off like any football player would and said, okay, well, I know my body. I'm fine. I mean, okay, maybe I have something wrong, small, but I'm not worried about it. Went on my business, but he said, hey, I want to see you back here in a month, and I want to do this nerve conduction test.
Did he mention anything about ALS?
No, not at that time. No. He just said they said the nerve conduction test needed to be done at a 6-month window, so I needed to wait 1 more month so I could get it again. And so it was when I went back in April, and they did that test and came back in and said, I want you to go get a second opinion, but I believe that you have ALS.
Did that just hit you like a ton of bricks? I mean, what do you even do when someone tells you that?
Just take a deep breath, first of all, and it hit me out of a clear blue sky. I had no worries walking into that doctor's office that day. No worries about my future, about my health. So to hear that was very difficult.
How do you deal with that?
I don't have an answer. The way I dealt with it was for me to let the emotions pass, let the tears come out, let the fears well up, and what you do is I reach out to my closest loved ones and my family and shared it with them, which was probably the hardest part of anything I've had to do since being diagnosed. That was the most difficult piece, was sharing that news with my family, knowing that they would have to go through this with me. For me, I've always found comfort in God and in my faith that if God is not in control of my life, then everything is just a big guessing game anyway. So because I have that belief, I was able to look at the situation through that lens and say, I don't understand it, I don't like it, I actually hate it, and it sucks. But I trust that good things will come from it. I trust that God will give me what I need in it. And I trust that ultimately I'll be okay.
They give you expectations, obviously. Where are you kind of in the process?
When someone tells you that you have a terminal disease and that the average person lives 3 to 5 years, I mean, all expectations go out the window. And you think, what if I have 5 years to live? And that would just blow your mind. Lucky for me, I'm diagnosed young, in the best shape of my life when I was diagnosed, and so I gave myself quite a head start into, I had a lot of muscle to break down. I had a lot of body mass to work through for that disease to fight against. So it's just been a process of discovering who I am, and this is actually the coolest part about what's happened to me over the last year. I went from being Tim Shaw NFL, Tim Shaw football, and that was who I was. That was what I identified with. That was what everyone wanted to talk to me about. That was what almost every conversation I had was about. Because I made it my life, and it was my passion, it was my talent and skill set. But when you take that away, and then you start taking away my physical body, which is what ALS is doing. And what I'm learning is that all those things about me, well, Tim, he's likes to do crazy thing. He loves to travel. He loves to sing and dance. And well, that's not who I am. Those are just the ways that I express myself. So what I'm learning is that you can take everything away from me. You can take football, you can take my body, you can take my ability to sing, take my ability to use my hands. I am still me, and I will still find a way to communicate with you and show you who I am. It's knowing that as these things get stripped away from me, I'm actually becoming more of who I am, because I use my sense of humor or my personality or my abilities to kind of distract you and kind of put on a show, and we all do that. That's what, almost what they're there for. So as those things leave me, I'm discovering who I really am, and I just went all the way deep, but that's what's happening in my life.
Of all the difficult hurdles, is the toughest part the progression of losing the physical aspect, or is it the mental side of, I guess, not knowing what's ahead?
I don't think anybody deals well with not knowing. Diagnosis or no diagnosis, we don't deal well with it. But I'm someone who has a very strong mental capacity, and I'm very level-headed, and I'm very logical and realistic. So I can deal with the mental part, and I am dealing with the emotional part in a very healthy way. I enjoy counseling, and that allows me the ability to express myself. But the toughest thing is those physical limitations that are coming up, and the realization that I can no longer pick up a gallon of milk, or I can no longer hold my baby nephew for longer than 10 seconds because I'll start to shake and I have to put him down. And things like that. And my body's saying, hey, can't do it anymore. We just can't. And it's the fear that one day I will not be able to do anything. That's my greatest fear, is to not be able to do physically anything, but yet still be so mentally alive and aware.
You said something last year right around the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge when the Titans did it, that this whole thing makes you contemplate death. Not something that a lot of people our age do a whole lot. Since that moment, do you still contemplate that moment, or have you been able to push that off?
I look at death in the face. Death is my reality, but surprise, surprise, death is everyone's reality. The thing I'm most proud of is that I'm living. I live life, man, and I live it to the fullest. And that's not a phrase to me. That's not a good quote or good saying. I live it out, and I have a freedom in my life right now. I have no financial responsibilities. I have no, personal. No one's relying on me. I don't have an agenda that's pushed on me by someone else. Everything that I do, including sitting here and talking to you, I have chosen to do because I have the freedom in my life to know that the end is coming and I want to make the most of it. So do I think about death? Yes. But am I more concerned with living right now? Absolutely. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I make my choices and I go full speed. I enjoy it. I eat dessert. I do the things I want to do. I go play a round of golf. Yeah, I can't hit the ball like I used to, but so what? That's not what I love. I love playing golf. I love being with my friends. I love traveling. I love inspiring people. Speaking to a youth football team that they're like me. They just dream of being on that big field. I mean, I want people to change their lives because they see the way I'm living mine. And I believe I'm doing that. And I believe the opportunities are endless for us, for everyone to do that. Because instead of thinking about what you want later, think about what you can do right now. Think about the people that you can impact right now with the position and the skill set and the talents and abilities that you have, because they are unique. And we often sit here and wish we had something else, or wish we weren't diagnosed with ALS, or wish that we were back on the football field. Well, no, you are where you are. Deal with it. Make the most of it. Make the best of it. Impact people in your situation. People have to listen to me because they see what I'm doing. They see how I'm living, and they can't deny that there's something that they want to know about. And so I don't even have to speak. They can just see it, and that's what I'm most proud of.